One last ride. Vancouver Canucks final game tonight against the Arizona Coyotes. They're down in Tempe to play in that little it's like a Coquitlam Center looking small little rink down there. Mullet Arena, final game. Let's pull up the Canucks stats after 81 games here and just see if there's anything that you're looking forward to for tonight, because I think the only one that really pops off the page, Andrei Kuzmenko getting 40 goals is great. Elias Pettersson adding to his 101 points is great. Anything else tonight, Quads? What the hell are we watching for tonight aside from John Garrett's final call on the regional broadcast? That's what I'm watching for tonight. I hope this is a game where those two have the most fun they've ever had on a broadcast, with Shorty and Cheech getting one last ride here together. As we know, John Garrett's not going to be on the regional broadcast anymore. I'm going to do something online here. Like, I think everybody should post a photo with a ketchup bottle while they're watching the game, like something like that. I want that to go around tonight. Do you remember when the Quinn Hughes face, and I sent out a tweet telling everyone to make it as their profile picture, and I had no idea it was going to be as big as it was? That went nuts. I want this to go even bigger, and I don't want to be the person who has to start this. I'm just going to start posting it tonight. I hope everybody posts some ketchup today while they're watching the game, and give Cheech the love, because I know he's going to see it. He's on Twitter every once in a while. Shorty's on there with his burner. He'll see it. And those guys will catch the ketchup. I think everybody should post a photo of, whether it's your TV or you watching the game, bottle of ketchup, send Cheech off the right way. That's what I'm watching for tonight. That is the main attraction for me for tonight's Canucks game.
Well, I think you just nailed it on the head. I'm gonna say, everybody have a hot dog. Cheech loves his hot dogs, right? I think I'm having hot dogs for dinner tonight, and I know my girlfriend's watching this, so this is news to her. But we are eating hot dogs tonight in honor of John Garrett. But you're bang on, Chris. That's the thing to watch for tonight. I think the other thing is obviously Kuzmenko 40 goals. Also Elias Pettersson 2 goals off from 40. I'm sure he'd like to hit that, a goal in regulation, and then maybe add an empty netter. It's definitely possible for him to do it. So those are the things that you're watching for tonight, obviously. But like you said, John Garrett, you know, nail on the head there. John Garrett's final broadcast is something that everybody is going to be paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm really not excited to see him go. And I hope that we do get to hear his voice next year, right? The way that it's kind of been said is he's not going to be on the regional broadcast anymore, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, final day, we'll have to see. It's going to be, at least I think it'll be a good night to enjoy and take it all in. It's just unfortunate that it's happening. To Cheech leaving Sportsnet.
Jesse Town in the chat said, put a hot dog in your clothes for Garrett. I think that's a great idea.
Sneak one into the pad there. Yeah, that's an option. Yeah. I'm going to do some ketchup stuff tonight. I'm going to post, get all the ketchup out and post it around. The other thing I'd be watching for tonight is
ketchup-related activities, I'd say.
Yeah, ketchup, whatever you can do with your ketchup. Get your hot dog, put your ketchup on it. Tonight, though, I do want to bring it up. Brian actually mentioned it in the chat. Besser hitting 20 goals tonight. Brock Besser, 1 point off from tying his career high for a season. He's got 55 points this season. Brian mentioned it. Hopefully, you get to 20 goals. He's at 18 right now. 1 point away from hitting his career high of 56 points. It'll be interesting. I did see some video from practice today. It was like Besser and Pettersson were taking faceoffs against each other. And they were both wearing a red jersey. So I think we might be seeing Pettersson alongside Besser tonight. Maybe we actually see the Lotto line tonight as like a top line playing together. I think that would be a little bit of fun going to the final game here. Or maybe it's something like Kuzmenko, Pettersson, Besser. I don't think anybody's tweeting out lines. There's no chance that Murph was at practice today after probably going out last night and making it one in Arizona, of course. But I thought about, I've been thinking about this for a while. I've mentioned it to some people. And then today when the video the Canucks posted of Besser and Pettersson taking faceoffs, what if Brock Besser becomes a center? We've talked about Vasily Podkolzin becoming a center. If you look at the Vancouver Canucks' faceoff numbers, out of all the guys who aren't centers, Brock Besser has taken the most faceoffs. His game's kind of evolved quite a bit to be more of a playmaker than a pure sniper. Listen, if you would have told me this 4 years ago that Brock Besser should be a sniper, I'd be like, no, he's a winger. Look at what he does. He scores a ton of goals. But if you're really trying to find a fix at 3C and you can't move Brock Besser, why not try to play a guy at center? Why not give him the opportunity to try and learn the position in the offseason, work on it in preseason, and then get into it for the regular season? Brock Besser, the way he's evolved as a player in the NHL, it feels like all of the way that he's evolving is evolving into a thing like strengths that a center needs. Like he's getting better at the board work. He's getting better defensively. He's getting better at being a little bit more physical, at being a playmaker. I don't know, man. The Canucks have some options to push guys to become centers. I just think it's also very difficult if you've played wing your whole life. Like that's got to be pretty damn difficult to immediately like just come and make that jump. So I don't know, but I don't know. Listen, guy takes a lot of faceoffs. He was the faceoff guy in power play too when it was all wingers there. It's an option, and hey, you have a huge hole there at 3C. You think you'd be pretty happy with Brock Besser if he can play that 3C role and play good in it?
Yeah, like I don't think that's the answer though. They have so many wingers, and the answer isn't to say, here's this $6+ million winger we have. Let's make him our third line center. That's not the answer. That can't be the answer. Like that can't be the answer heading into next year. Enough with the shortcuts. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, Chris. That just screams shortcut to me, and I think this team needs to make less of those.
Why would that scream shortcut? Why would making him a center scream shortcut?
Okay, when Bo Horvat was here, we kept talking about how, well, they can't tie up that much money in their centers. In 3 centers, you don't want to pay a third line center over $5 million. Your long-term answer, and probably, if we're being honest here, your short-term answer for a third line center isn't Brock Besser. It's not a $6+ million winger. You're not just going to transition him to a center and think you're okay with that. You want that guy playing in your top 6. Like if you go into next season and Brock Besser isn't in your top 6, and you have a guy like, I don't know, Phil DiGiuseppe who's there now, right, ahead of him, that's a problem. Like that's a problem. That's not something you want to plan for and say, yes, this $6+ million winger, we don't think he's going to be able to play on our top line. We would rather move him to center. That's just I like your thought process. I really do. I'm not trying to crap on your idea. I really do like the thought process, but it's just like you have Podkolzin right there. Like do it with Podkolzin. I know you're on this train. I know you're on this train too. So it's not like I'm saying anything new to you, but you have Podkolzin right there. If you're gonna do this with anybody, it's got to be with Pods. It can't be with the guy who's making $6+ million to score goals and down the stretch run of the season started accomplishing that and started playing really well under Rick Talk. And I'm sure he's looking forward to next year. It's not really a feasible thing to just say, yeah, you're gonna go down, you're gonna play center starting next year. Podkolzin, on the other hand, you can say, hey, if you can start working out as a center, that would be fantastic. And I think, like, look, you've got Podkolzin right there. There's your answer, maybe long term. And look, we got people in the chat already throwing out Barbashev. It seems like Barbashev's coming. Barbashev's coming. He's your center wing option on the third line, it seems like.
I just think it's not like if you were to tell him to try and become a center, he's not going to immediately forget what it's like to be a winger. And I'm sorry, but he wasn't the 30-goal scorer this year. He wasn't the 30-goal scorer the year before that. He's never been the 30-goal scorer winger that you hope he is. So maybe you want to try and find an evolution in him as an NHL player. And I think that's like, it should be an option, I think, for sure. I think it's something you could try. And yeah, you're right. You don't want to pay like $6 million for a third line center, but you also probably don't want to be paying Brock Besser $6.5 million for 50 points, right? So why not try and make the best out of a crappy situation here? And not necessarily crappy, just not ideal. Not ideal. You don't want to be paying Besser the money that he's getting paid for what he's going to accomplish, like what he's done so far this season. And here's something for you, Quads, because I know that people mention Barbashev, right? Barbashev, they want him to be a center. I don't know. I don't know if this dude's even a center. In the NHL, Brock's taking like half as many faceoffs as him this year. So if Barbashev's the answer at 3C, I don't see it. I don't think he's been a center for the last 3 years in the NHL. He's been a winger who takes faceoffs occasionally. So like I don't think Barbashev's the perfect. I don't think Barbashev should be, unless you really like. Let me read you off his faceoff percentage the last 3 seasons: 38%, 39%, 43%. You think that guy is your answer at 3C? Come on. Like why not try some?
Sounds like Jason Dickinson 2.0, the low face-off percentage, right? And also, let's not forget here, we could be sounding like the people on the East Coast that think that thought for years that Elias Pettersson wasn't a center because he didn't take face-offs on the lotto line, right? Like, remember those people, Chris? You could be one of those people right now. So keep that in mind, that sometimes the center doesn't always take the face-off. Just because he's not taking the face-off might have that rotation like we obviously saw with the lotto line. Okay, Let's move on
Here's
here.
my other point that I wanted to add to this was think about, like, listen, when the Canucks had Horvat, there were times where Horvat would play with Miller or Miller would play with Pettersson. But there were also times where they rolled with those 3 Cs down the middle. And if you roll with 3 Cs down the middle, and even if you're paying $6 million to your 3C, if you're able to kind of listen, you're clearing up winger money by moving Brock Besser to center then. You're not paying wingers as much money. So then you have all these wingers in the system that can find top 9 positioning. I don't see why it's not worth a shot. I would love to see Vasily Podkolzin and Brock Besser both be told in the offseason, like, hey, we have a big opening here in our top 9 to be secured up. And listen, Vasily, you haven't found a really good spot in the NHL this season. You haven't had a good year. Why not try this? Try this. And just go that way with both of those players. See if you have an internal option to fill this in, because that would be a huge win if it works out. If it works out, it'd be incredible. It'd be incredible for this team. I'm not saying it's for sure going to work out, but if it did, holy hell, you're talking about a top 9 that you absolutely love if it ended up working out.